Hi, my name is Abby Vinoy. I'm the Graduate Assistant for the Transnational NGO Initiative at the Moynihan Institute of Global Affairs. And I'm joined here with Dave Tucker, who is the Trade Campaign Officer for War on Want, which is a UK-based NGO working on global justice. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome.
Can you start by talking about your organization a little bit and your current position with War on Want?
Yeah, War on Want is actually one of the oldest NGOs in the UK, and we were founded in 1952, which a lot of people don't realise. But we came out of the labour movement and the workers' movement, and that remains our primary focus, I'd say, to this day. So we look at labour rights and we look at human rights, particularly in conflict situations. So my particular job position is Trade Campaign Officer, which is one of three. There's one person working on supermarkets and sweatshops and corporate accountability, one that's working on the conflict zones, as I said, particularly Palestine, and I look at international trade rules and to a certain extent the financial crisis and how's that impacted.
Okay. And so you mentioned that they started very early on. Was there more of a domestic focus and that has kind of grown into more of a global focus?
No, quite the opposite actually, because it was post-Second World War when the UK and Europe in general was, obviously half obliterated, and they were looking at where we were going to go next. And there was the guy who invited the general public to write into him about not putting money into. It was at the time of the Korean War, and a lot of the money that could have gone for reconstruction domestically was still being channeled into the military. So they said, how can we do this differently? And they invited a guy who was later to be Prime Minister to publish a pamphlet which came out as The War on Want, a plan for global development. So it's always been at that global level and at the kind of structural level.
Okay, that's very interesting. So what motivated you initially to pursue a career in kind of the broader transnational NGO context?
For myself, I think it was really a mixture of personal experience, which is very common in our sector anyway, that people's formative experiences has to be going to a developing country typically and actually seeing things with your own eyes and getting emotionally involved. That's very important. So for me it was teaching and travelling in Southeast Asia and Borneo. And then after that I went and did an undergraduate degree in history, which introduced me to the kind of politics, social change, analytical angle. And when I was then trying to choose which career I was going to knuckle down to when I was about 23, 24, global development and campaigning seemed to be the natural choice.
Okay. Were there any challenges that you approached in trying to establish a career with an NGO?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the most competitive sectors, actually, in the UK at least.
Okay.
And to the extent that entry-level jobs, I think the last one I saw there was 880 applications for one job. And now the standard level for getting into this kind of work is to have a master's degree, and that's the basic. So on top of that, there's also the question of resources, and obviously there's not many paid internships. I can count them on the fingers of one hand, basically. So you have to be able to support yourself and volunteer in order to get the kind of experience you need to break in.
Okay. So do you have any suggestions for students who are trying to pursue a career with NGOs?
The number one suggestion is if you're going to work in charities, then you find something that you feel passionate about. And that is something that will have to sustain you, really, throughout. There's always going to be a little bit of sideways movement, but don't go into something that you think this is just a great career move, because you won't stick with it.
Yeah.
my advice.
So it's the passion that keeps you
The
going
passion, number
every day.
one, and then followed from that, I would say go and meet some people from that sector, find out what the day-to-day job is, and what it covers, and find out where their career path was and what kind of skills that they need. So academic firstly, yes, but also slightly commercial. Like for myself, I did a couple of years of admin work, and even that basic familiarity with the web and typing and documents and so on is necessary.
Okay. And that leads into my next question about particular training that students can engage in when they're doing their master's degree or even undergraduate. So what kind of classes would you recommend they take?
Well, for myself, I chose my master's course because it had a mixture of the practical and the academic. So it was an international political economy course at heart, but it also had a whole semester on research methods and one on project management, which was more the sort of project management for NGOs and log frames and introduction to that. So I would say get a mixture of those things, unless you're already so clear that there's only one sort of way that you want to go, and then you can focus on that. But always, I think the key thing about NGOs is that you are thrown into positions where you'll have to cover a lot of different things, and so you have to be resilient and adaptable and try and get a broad range of skills. So for me, it would be media, as well as web, as well as policy, as well as project management. And so on.
Certainly. So can you? This might be archaic, but can you describe a typical daily routine for you?
Sleep as late as possible. Now, typical daily routine, I think, the first kind of hour of your day is picking up on your emails and finding out if there's stuff that has to be dealt with in that day. And then it's just so varied. I mean, for us, media comes up quite often, and that's a very quick turnaround. So you'll often have to drop everything to go off to a TV station or radio station, or to respond to something that's come in the paper that day. But barring that, it's the more, it's a mixture of things, and I think trying to keep on top of the sort of bigger tasks that have to be chipped away at. That's really a big challenge, because there's always so much going on. You have to develop a strategic sense quite quickly. So it's quite hard to characterize a day, but it is office-based, and it will involve sometimes going out, and obviously a lot of meetings, both policy meetings and network meetings. And
Communication,
like
probably
Communication,
first. Okay. And for our final question, if you can provide some advice for students looking into the NGO sector for a career on what changes they should anticipate as part of the broader sector. What kind of changes are NGOs going through generally?
Well, NGOs generally is a huge, there's thousands of different foci as well. So I would say, at least consistently, the challenges with resources, with money. The big challenge probably in the US and the UK as well is because of that funding cutbacks. It's certainly more difficult to get money from institutional funders, but also from the general public. And that's the thing that keeps you afloat. Because you're not making a profit in order to keep your business going. So that's a challenge. I would say ever higher skills and breadth of skills, and I think just really trying to be very keen and enthusiastic and adaptable, and that's the best way to advance in NGOs.
Okay, thank you so much.